What the heck is oobleck? I'm Dr. Kiki Sanford from Food Science, and I'll show you today on the lab.
Good to see you and welcome. It's time for the lab. We actually have a scientist in the lab for a change. Welcome. I'm Leo Laporte. I'm no scientist. This is my lab. And what we talk about on this show is technology. How to use it, how to abuse it, how to lose it when you're done. Ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful Kate Abraham. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
I told you before, purple and black.
Do you like purple and black?
Because you're a winter, and I think that it really complements. This is episode. Oh, it's good, isn't it? Yes, you're a winter. Did you know you were a winter? I think you are a winter.
I've got very fair
dark hair, but you have blue eyes, which really throws the whole thing.
Green.
Okay, green. You're right, they're green. I'm not good with color, so why am I telling you what to wear? I don't know. Episode 156 is here. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kiki Sanford. Kirsten to her friends.
We finally have somebody in a lab coat in the lab.
In the lab. She's going to make oobleck.
I have no idea what oobleck is.
Do you know who Bartholomew McCubbin is?
No, I don't.
All right, well, you'll find out.
Okay.
Alex Lindsay is also here. We're going to talk about aperture. Yeah, when you're doing digital photography, this actually turns out to be something pretty darn important, and people don't usually pay much attention to it. Even on a point-and-shoot camera, you can change your aperture. You can have aperture priority shooting. We're going to talk about what that is and why you'd want to do that. This will help your digital photography no end. We've also got some great callers. Let's start with our first. What do you say?
We are going to Newport Beach in California, and we have Fran on the line.
Lovely place, Newport Beach.
Sounds lovely.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, Fran.
Hi, Leo.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm wonderful and so excited to be talking to you. I am madly in love with your show.
Oh, you're the greatest. Well, thank you. You're probably talking about the radio show more than the TV show, I would imagine.
Right. I mean, that's like my treat to be able to catch your show. It's just
Aren't you sweet?
From somebody who is not a tech person at all, let me tell you.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
For our Canadian and Australian viewers, I do a radio show in the States, and Fran is in Southern California where the show is heard on KFI. So I'm glad you listened, and I'm glad you found the TV show. That's really great.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful, yes.
Well,
so thank you very much for taking my call.
Of course.
It's been fantastic. Thanks, Kate.
Well, tell me what I can do to help you today.
Well, I originally sent you a message about the one laptop per child for my granddaughter, who's 4.
Right.
And we've actually ended up purchasing it simply because of the time factor.
And I bet, now did you get yours? Because I understand they're starting to arrive.
Have not received it yet. So I'm hoping that the holdup was that the newest version is what we're getting, because the reviews on that are a lot better. It's called the D4 rather than a D2 or a B4.
I didn't even know they'd changed the model. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've been watching this reviewer that's supposed to be 12 years old. I'm assuming he is.
Well, now remember that the One Laptop Per Child program was really not designed for kids in the States, although I don't see any reason why not. It was designed for kids in developing nations to make an inexpensive, easily repaired, easily maintained laptop that had some features specifically for areas that weren't fully developed. Things like it comes with a little pull string that you can use to charge the battery if there's no electricity. It has a screen designed, two different screen modes, but designed to be used in brighter light because a lot of times there's no artificial light in these places. It also has a certain kind of wireless networking called mesh networking. It will use a Wi-Fi access point, or you could plug it in, but it also will take that network and spread it. It becomes an access point itself and spreads it through mesh. So, and all of these are designed for schoolrooms in poorer nations where they may not have all the resources we have in the U.S. However, it was also designed to educate young kids. Here's the site, laptop.org. And I think the program is over by the time people are watching this. But they were doing this great program through the end of last year called Give One, Get One, where you could actually buy I think it was $4.99 or $3.99. You could buy one laptop, and one would be given to a poor child in a really poor nation. I think they were talking about Haiti and Rwanda, which isn't even really a nation anymore, alas. And the idea is this laptop is really designed to make it easy for kids to learn how to use technology. Look at it; it's very friendly. A kid will be comfortable with it. It has a lot of nice features for that price. So really, Fran, your gift was a charitable gift as much as anything else, because you helped a poor kid in Haiti or Rwanda. How old is your granddaughter?
She's 4, and they've actually extended the program till December 31st.
Yeah, but this show isn't airing until much later than that, I'm sorry to say. So we're teasing people a little bit. I think, there are some people buying this in the States. In fact, there's one state in the U.S., I think, was it Alabama, Mississippi, that bought Massachusetts? One of those, that bought a bunch of them. The program has been a little bit disappointing for its creator, Nicholas Negroponte, because Intel and Microsoft took a look at this. There's no Microsoft software on it. There's no Intel hardware in it, and said, we don't want guys to get used to this. So Intel quickly created the Classmate computer. Microsoft started selling Windows for $3 in some nations. In a way, that's a good thing. It makes makes technology in general more accessible. But this is really designed for places where there's no support. I can't tell what a 4-year-old would get out of this. I don't know. You're certainly going to have parental involvement with any computer in a 4-year-old. It's at that age, it's what we call lap computing, not laptop computing. The kid sits in your lap and you work with them. But there is stuff on here that, as the child gets older, will be really cool. For instance, it's designed to teach very young kids how to program computers. And I think your granddaughter may get a lot out of that. There's some really fun stuff. She'll have to do it with mom or dad or with you, Fran. It's not it's not a toy computer in that sense. It's really, I think, designed more for kids maybe in 4th, 5th, 6th grade like that.
Right.
However, I think first of all, you've done a great thing, right? Because I bought one too, and mine hasn't come yet. I can't wait to see it. So you're helping a kid,
right? Besides
your granddaughter,
right?
I think it's so cute. I think your granddaughter is going to certainly love it. She can bang on it a little bit, and I do think as she gets a little bit old, there's certainly games she can play on it now. But as she gets a little bit older, I think there's going to be a lot to this for her. So, I don't think this was a bad idea. I don't know if there's any computer I'd recommend for a 4-year-old. The best thing for a kid is probably to sit with mom or dad or some adult and play kid games, learn a little bit about the computer. So I think it's great, in fact, maybe if she's a smart 4-year-old, to share with her the mission of this, so that she kind of understands that there's some child somewhere in the world who has the partner to her computer who is learning just as she is, and that might be kind of neat.
I think it would be really neat. I did have a question for you about it, though, and that concerned me a little bit.
Okay.
And I really couldn't understand how the safety factor, if you're always connected to an internet service, and of course she's not going to be using this computer by herself, obviously.
No, right.
But I couldn't figure out how on earth they're going to keep it safe for the kids.
Here's the beauty of it. It's not running Windows.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's a Linux machine. Now, it does have a browser in it, so a kid could conceivably, go to a bad site. But it is not, no spyware, no viruses, nothing like that. There's nothing to be afraid of in that regard. Okay. And it's really locked down. It's actually a very interesting design. I think they've done a very good job. Now, one thing she's going to like is it's her size. I mean, you can see in a comparison here, here's a regular laptop, and here's an OLPC. It is tiny. And it's really cute with this little handle. I mean, I think there's things that she's going to really like about it. It can be her computer. You've done a good thing. You've given to charity. It's a safe computer for her to use. It's safe for her to kind of bang on it. It's pretty robust. And, if you're going to get any computer for a kid, what a great thing to do, Fran. When you get it, would you let me? I hope you get it in time for Christmas. We're recording this just a few days before Christmas. I hear people are starting to get them. I've started to see some of my friends have gotten them. I'm hoping when I get home from Vancouver, I'm going to have one waiting for me, and I'll give you more information about it. Let's just cross our fingers, Fran. But at the very least, you've done a wonderful thing. I think you've helped a child in an underdeveloped world nation get some really neat technology, and I think your granddaughter's going to love it too. Fran, it's great to talk to you.
Very nice to talk to you too. Have a wonderful holiday.
Happy holidays, Fran.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we hope we get it in time. That's it. They didn't make any promises about that, so but you can give them a little gift certificate. She's 4; she won't know the difference. All right, coming up in just a little bit, we're going to make oobleck. Actually, stay tuned, friend, because your granddaughter's going to like this. Oobleck. Every kid loves oobleck. What is oobleck? We'll find out when the lab continues. I'm so glad to meet Kiki Sanford. She does a great podcast, This Week in Science.com. It's about food science, all kinds of science.
All kinds of science.
All kinds of science, not just cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is a PhD in physiology, yes?
Yes.
Studied brains of birds. Mm-hmm. You're not a bird brain, though.
No. In grad school, they often say that you study the opposite of what you are.
Oh, okay. So you're a big brain. All right. So we're going to make oobleck today. Mm-hmm. Dare I ask what oobleck is?
Well, basic oobleck is just a mixture of cornstarch and water.
But where did it come from?
What is it? Well, the name came from a Dr. Seuss book.
Bartholomew Cubbon,
and
yeah.
the oobleck.
I remember that, actually.
It's Dr. Seuss wrote it back in 1949.
But did he really describe what oobleck was in the book?
No, he did not. It was just a slime, a sticky slime that has just the name stuck. Teachers started using this cornstarch mixture to teach properties of fluids to their students.
Oh, interesting.
And the name kind of stuck because it was something that kids could relate to.
Yeah,
and
everybody loves oobleck.
Everyone loves oobleck.
Let me get this clipboard out of the way so we can see what you're doing here. We're going to take some plain old cornstarch out of the box.
Yes.
Yeah. This is water.
This is water. And you basically use 1 part cornstarch.
Okay.
No, sorry, I'm totally backwards there. 1 part water to 2 parts cornstarch.
Okay, 1 to 2.
1 to 2.
Twice as much cornstarch as water.
Exactly.
A cup to half a cup, or 2 cups to 1.
Whatever you end up wanting to do.
See, I'm really good with numbers. Okay, so she's going to put some water in there. Oh, the whole thing, huh?
I pre-measured it.
Okay.
I pre-measured it.
Now, what are we going to get, though?
And the best thing to do, you want to put it in slowly and not all at once. So it dissolves. And it takes a little while to mix it all in. So I did the food cooking show style.
Have you made pre-made oobleck?
I have pre-made oobleck, so I don't have to mix it all up on the show. It's nice looking.
So you're going to get kind of a viscous.
It's non-toxic.
You could eat it, yeah. That's why teachers love it.
And people use cornstarch to thicken their gravy all the time.
Right.
And basically, cornstarch is a shear thickener. And
what's that mean?
What that means, if you think of a liquid as a series of layers, the force that it takes to slide the layers past each other is the shear force.
Okay.
And so by increasing the force necessary, that's thickening.
It doesn't slide as easily. So
right. Yeah. So it's all a viscosity is another word that's used to describe liquids. Thicker liquids are thought of as more liquid. So this is definitely
a viscous liquid.
Yeah. The liquid, when you mix it up, it's somewhere between a heavy cream and a light paste.
Looks like Elmer's glue is what it looks like.
Yeah, and if you move slowly through it, it still acts like a liquid. It's really nice and soft, but if you hit it, it acts like a solid.
Whoa, that's interesting. So that's why teachers like this.
Yeah, because it has these amazing properties.
That is bizarre.
Isn't it?
So silly putty's kind of like that in a more viscous way. It can bounce if you bounce it, but you can also slowly pull it apart.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw any of this on your floor.
But you could.
But you could.
Would it bounce?
It would not bounce. It would shatter, and then
it would shatter
because it's solid, so it shatters apart, and then all of the little droplets they melt, and so you end up with these little liquid spots. And you can rub your hand. I'm very tempted
to ask her to do it. Should I try it?
Yeah, put your finger in really slowly.
Right. Okay,
if you just put it in very slowly.
Then it's just like a liquid.
It's just like a liquid.
So slow is liquid.
Slow is liquid.
Somebody told me that glass flows.
It does not.
It does not? Is that not true?
It is a solid.
It's a solid.
It is.
Okay, that feels just like a liquid. It's a goopy liquid.
Little goopy.
Now if I...
It's totally hard.
That is bizarre.
Yeah. And if you want to get your hands a little more dirty, you can, it's a little hard to grab, but you can pick some up, and it acts like a liquid in your hand. See how it's like watery? Yeah. But then if you crumble it, it turns solid.
So it's not... Oh, that is so weird. Look at that.
It's fun
stuff.
So,
okay, so this is really interesting. You got to try this at home, maybe with the kids.
Yeah,
now, what would be a lesson
for playing with kids?
Friends, you should look at this. What would be a lesson that we could teach a kid with this? See, it's solid, then it turns to a liquid.
Yeah, well, what kids can learn is that, so this is what's called a non-Newtonian fluid.
No kidding.
Yeah. So Newton, in addition to describing the force of gravity, he also described the fluid flow.
Right.
And he described it as a relationship between force and resistance.
Right.
And so water is a Newtonian fluid. It's proportional. The amount of force you put in, the amount of resistance
and
is
never
proportional.
changes.
It never
it's
changes.
Very consistent.
It's consistent.
At room temperature, anyway.
Yeah. Right. But this is non-Newtonian in that it's not as predictable. So
the amount of force changes the viscosity.
Yeah, the viscosity almost doubles the more force you put in. So it's got,
Look at that.
A different
it's liquid,
relationship.
but then you pick it up and it's so
this stuff
it feels like solid, and then it just That is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. If you put sugar in this, I think you could sell it.
Well, I think it's a really fun thing. There are also really neat applications for this that have, aside from playing with it on
like
your
in
countertop.
Space or something. What would you use this for?
Protection. So the government, the Department of Defense, is
uses
actually
Oobleck?
they're doing research for protective armor, because one of the things about protective armor currently is that it's stiff. You can't move very well, and so if you had a substance that were soft and pliable when you're running around,
but then if a bullet hits it, it's hard as a rock.
Exactly, and so they're working on materials like this right now, and there's a company called D3O.
D3O.com, I think.
D3O.com, and they've created a substance. Their substance is orange, and it has a very similar property where it's nice and pliable, but then the minute you strike it, it becomes hard as a rock. And so there's actually a video online that I think they have a link to it somewhere on Wikipedia. If you look up D3O on Wikipedia. They have a video where the guy's got a ski cap that they've put like a helmet with this material underneath, and the reporter takes a shovel and is hammering the guy's head. So it's it's pretty fun.
I'm going to put this on my head now, and I want you to hammer it. No, this wouldn't work for that. No. But and you probably can't tell just looking at it how very strange this is. Yeah. But it is solid, and then when you hold it, and even if you catch it as it's dribbling, it's solid, but then it melts.
Yeah, and this is, there are people doing a lot of research into this, just on the properties of fluids and materials themselves. Material science is really looking into this for intelligent, smart materials, things that react.
And it's just cornstarch.
This is just cornstarch.
Can you tell us what the chemical reaction is that makes it do this?
Basically, it's the molecules kind of bumping into each other, so that the way that the water and the actual molecules inside the compound line up, as you apply force, they shift and move, and they lock into place.
So is the cornstarch actually mixing with the water, or is it more a suspension of cornstarch in the water? Or?
It's more a suspension.
It's more a suspension. Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
Try this at home. Oobleck.
Oobleck is fun.
And catch Kiki Sanford's podcast. It's this kind of stuff. Thisweekinscience.com.
Yeah, and on foodscience.tv for the food science.
Oh, so you do some food science too?
Yeah, this is.
It's weird if you squeeze it. Ooh. Ooh, on foodscience.tv. Kiki, that's so much fun.
Thanks.
Now, I hope this stuff washes off with soap and water.
It absolutely does.
I am so sticky. Yeah. Now, let's. Look at it. It's solid. When I do this, it's a solid, and then it liquefies.
Yeah, I wanted to come here and make, get a big giant kiddie pool and fill a pool full of it, because you can walk across it. If you get a big enough,
walk fast enough.
If you walk fast enough,
stop.
As you strike it, don't stop. Yep.
All right.
That would have been too messy.
You could probably do this very well. I'm not so good at this. This is a little game we call What the Tech. It's a close-up picture of something you find around the lab. Now look. You have the thing. What am I supposed to make of that? That's something. Okay, we're going to zoom out and find out what it is. It's not oobleck. Could be red oobleck for the holidays. We'll zoom out and find out when the lab continues. You stay right here.
What is it?
What could that be? That's just not fair. That is our What the Tech picture, something Mr. Sean Carruthers took with his macro lens. And zoom out and you'll find light cubes. This is a light up. Now see, would never have guessed that. So I want to just say that oobleck does wash off without even soap, just water. It rinses right off. Isn't that interesting?
When the water dries, it becomes back to the powder state. It's bizarre.
Yeah, well,
crazy.
Yeah, see, you kept a bowl of oobleck.
I'm playing all day.
I can't wait to do this with my kids. Anyway, let's get another caller on the air.
Fantastic. We're going to Princeton, Ontario, and we have Joe on the line.
Joe, thank you, Kate. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad.
What can I do for you?
Well, I'm a graphic designer, and I do some web design on the side. And I heard you talking earlier one time about Everest. I got some people who have quite a few different products, and they want to change their pictures on the website quite a bit. And part of my problem is right now I kind of do everything by hand.
Ooh.
And
so they call you up and they say, hey, Joe, we want to add 4 pictures to page 3 and 2 pictures to page 2 and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I'm kind of like I do most of the stuff in Flash now, but I've
that's even worse in some ways.
Yeah, like I can kind of link to the external images and kind of do it some ways easier there, but they're also looking towards kind of a e-commerce type store and stuff like that, so they can kind of link the pictures to like an ordering kind of information and stuff like that. And
well, now if you're going to end up doing that,
I know it ends up kind of getting into a bigger thing.
It's an even bigger thing.
Yeah, part of my thing is that
what you want is a database. You want a database with the pictures in the database.
Yeah.
And once the pictures are in the database, then you have, do you write? What do you program in PHP?
I've kind of started a little bit of PHP.
Yeah, PHP has built-in MySQL bindings that make it very straightforward to make it do that's why everybody uses PHP and MySQL. WordPress, everybody, yeah. Blogger. Actually, Blogger's in Python, but it turns out to be a fairly easy thing to do once you learn PHP. Yeah. So what I'm going to suggest is you start off with a picture gallery based on PHP and MySQL. That means the pictures will be stored, or at least references the pictures will be stored in the MySQL database, making it easy as you progress and your needs and customers' needs progress to access that very quickly. In other words, you're planning ahead. You may not yet be ready to write PHP to access the database, but at least you're putting the pictures in the database now. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That gives you room to grow. This is free. It's really great. It's an open source photo album program called Coppermine. You can install this very easily on any web server. Doesn't cost a penny. And it gives, the default Coppermine, I've been using this for years, the default Coppermine is actually quite good looking. But you can then customize it with a lot of different customization capabilities using CSS. It's basically a content management system for photos. So it does albums, does all sorts of stuff, and then you can integrate it with a variety of other programs or write your own. It is incredibly, incredibly powerful. I highly recommend it. Coppermine. So what you'll do is you'll start using Coppermine, and then you can write your own custom front ends or interfaces to an e-commerce system or whatever. But it'll be easy to do because you'll have kind of rationalized, instead of just uploading these photos and remembering what the URL is for the photo, you'll have rationalized how they're stored.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It also has built-in image manipulation. It uses GD or image magic, which is very common on most Unix-based web servers, to do things like rotate the pictures, size the pictures. There's batch, the users can do it. There's batch upload. I mean, this is some of the features. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. This thing is quite elaborate. Has a full search. It's multilingual, which is really handy because you may end up with an e-commerce system that goes global, as is often the case. I like this. It supports the EXIF, EXIF, and IPTC tags. That means you can store information in the photos, and the database can find that tag information. So this is, it goes on and on. And for the price, I think you're not going to find anything better than this. Another possibility for you is to use a third-party photo service like Flickr or something, and you can then interface. The one I'd recommend for that is not free, but is relatively expensive. I think $60 a year for a pro account. It's called SmugMug at smugmug.com. And the reason I recommend them, they offer a white label version of SmugMug, so you can make it work with your website, they're serving the pictures, they're storing the pictures. They have a lot of nice features. There's no ads. In fact, all it says is at the bottom of your page, it'll say powered by SmugMug. So if you don't want to get into setting up Coppermine and going to a lot of work, this is like Flickr on steroids. It allows you to do a whole lot more, including upload video now with a pro account. So I would take a look at that. You could try this for 2 weeks for free and see if it works for you. But the ability to do white labeling on this is great. Plus, they can sell their photos. SmugMug has a whole commerce section for itself with all sorts of mugs and prints, and they have all sorts of ways that you can sell the photos. So if you don't want to do the e-commerce on the photos, this is another way to do it. So there's two choices for you, Joe. The one that's kind of the more power tool feature for people who are going to expand and want full control is Coppermine. And then I'm going to use SmugMug for travel photos on my website because I can embed it into the website. It'll still look like it's leoville.com, but all the images will be stored at SmugMug, and I kind of like that. Okay, Joe?
Yep.
A couple of good choices for you. Good luck with your designing and with your clients, and I appreciate the call. Actually, both of those are really excellent choices for anybody who wants to incorporate. I use Coppermine on my website for a long time just to incorporate photos.
Cool.
Ryan Ewell's here. He is the king of free.
I absolutely am, and today we're on Mac and Windows, so almost everybody's happy.
Mac and Windows.
And you're
not OLPC though.
No, not Linux. But we have you're talking about Flickr?
Yep.
This is Flickr Uploader, Mac and Windows.
Yeah, they've upgraded this considerably.
Yeah,
I love
this is the 3.0 here.
Yeah.
And I'm using the Windows version. It's just as simple as I got some pictures here, and I'm just going to highlight.
So you download this to your computer to speed up the upload process.
Yeah, and you kind of keep things, for the most part, on your computer, except for that connection. Once you said do this, add these tags, do this, do that. So if you just literally drag and drop it over here, I'm just going to drop it in. There are the photos. I can highlight the photos, and I can change the titles, and I can add descriptions.
Do all the tagging, and you do that all offline, and then you press go.
There you go. And so I'm going to hit upload photos, and
that's easy.
There you go. It's uploading
now you
them right
go off and continue your work. Because sometimes these photos take a while.
They can. And then once it's done, you have the button where you can actually go to Flickr and make any last minute changes. Just say, and then you just hit save this batch, and you're good to go. So Flickr Uploader. This is 3.0. So
it's free from FLICKR.com.
Yes, it is.
No E.
Definitely.
No E. And I have a pro account there too because I upload a lot to Flickr. I love Flickr.
Which isn't free, but
it's not free.
It's probably worth it.
The rest of it's free. It's funny, between SmugMug and Flickr, I prefer SmugMug for the features, but all my friends, everybody is on Flickr. That's where the community is, right? So you have to do both, really, if you want. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Where would we find more of these fantastic jewels, sir?
Well, they're fantastic at labwithleo.com. Free files, jewels.
That's where. That's simple enough. Right there. See, it says right
Somewhere
there.
Down there, yeah.
I believe your calls coming up in just a bit. You stay right here. Lab with Leo continues. But first, how smart do you feel this morning?
Not very.
Very smart?
No.
Very smart.
No.
He's very smart. This is our quiz question of the day. Which metal, this is in honor of Kiki, which metal has the highest electrical conductivity? Gold, silver, copper, or aluminium? I said it British for Kate.
Something to do with electrons, probably.
Something to do with electrons, I would guess. I don't know. What do you think? I'll tell you. We'll talk about it when the lab continues. Stay here.
Hey, welcome back to Lab with Leo. I'm Kate Abraham, and now it's time for my tip of the day. Now, this is something which is great if you use instant messaging a lot, but the different types of, for instance, like Google Talk, MSN, AIM. It's called Meeboo.com, and basically it has all the different sites available on one site, so you can message it all in from one site. So as you can see, Meeboo.com, it works with AIM, Yahoo, MSN, and Google Talk. All you need to do is log in as you would normally. Then what happens is you end up being on this page here. As you can see, my buddy list is there, and I can use this list here to go through and use the instant messaging service. So that's Meeboo.com.
Me love Meebo.
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 Meebo. Me love Meebo. Me love Meebo long time.
You've old news.
Well, I tell you what, because on the iPhone, because it doesn't offer a chat client, Meebo has a great iPhone client. And you can also embed Meebo on your web page. It's a really, they've got it. They're the one.
Go to
if you ask me. For web-based IM.
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
And you could have some oobleck on your Meebo.
I find that tastes very, very good.
What is it with baby talk? Everything now there's Bebo, Meeboo. There's all these baby talk sites now. What is that all about?
We're all just regressing back.
I think so. We're all just kids. Oobleck. So I want oobleck.com. I'm going to have to check that one out and see if I can get that real quick.
I'll check for
you. Do you have a caller
I
for
do
me?
Indeed. We have Neil from Halifax in Nova Scotia.
Hello, Neil. Thank you, Kate.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Pretty good. Survived another snowstorm.
I am so glad I am not in Nova Scotia right now, on the East Coast. Freezing.
It's crazy this year. Usually we're wondering whether we're going to get snow before Christmas, and so far we've had 5 or 6 major storms.
No question about it. Now watch what happens. In February it'll be balmy, right?
Well, I wouldn't mind that, tell you the truth.
Let's hope. Let's cross our fingers. So what can I do for you, Neil?
Well, actually, I just sent in the question so I could get to talk to Kate, really. So.
Oh, I know. So, okay, would you like to talk to Kate, and I'll just stand here and watch?
That would be nice, yeah.
She's so great, isn't she?
Anyway, I've been watching for you on World of Warcraft, actually. I've been missing you there.
Oh, yeah. My character is in the Earthen Ring. Are you a member of the Alia Iactus Est guild?
I guess not.
No, see, that's my guild. It is Latin for the die is cast.
Really?
Alia Iactus Est. I didn't name it. Somebody, but it's a guild. Many of them are podcasters. That's how come I joined it. Veronica Belmont talked me into it, but I haven't been in there in a long time. No.
Well, I just started a guild, so when we get it developed.
And are you Horde or Alliance?
I'm Alliance.
Oh, see, I'm Horde.
Right.
Yeah, Horde is the bad guys. You're not going to see me on the Alliance. If I'm going to be in the gaming world, I'm not going to be a good guy. I'm going to be a bad guy because it's fun to, kind of play at that.
I find it hard to be a bad guy. I bought Grand Theft Auto, and all I could bring myself to do was to drive cab.
You rode your bike around.
Yeah, right.
Oh, look, that guy just carjacked a car. Bad man, you're a bad man. That's not, I know what you mean. I watch my kid do it, and he seems to have a little too much relish. Yeah. He enjoys it a little too much, and I'm starting to think, maybe this isn't such a good idea. Well, do you have any question at all? Because, you don't have to ask a question, but...
Well, actually, I guess I can probably ask you what...
Muster one up? Okay.
My friend of mine had bought a computer a year or so ago, and what they sold her was a compact with 128 meg of RAM and all the...
What?
Yeah.
What? 128 megabytes of RAM?
Really?
I don't even know what operating system would run in such little RAM.
Well, that was probably why it took about 2 minutes for it to start up the computer.
Yeah.
So anyway, she brought it to me, and I deleted all the bloatware they had on there, and they also had Norton's Norton's antivirus.
Right.
So using Windows Ad Remove program, I went to the Norton's part, and there was no button for remove program.
No, of course not. Now, there's actually a legitimate reason for that. You may think Symantec is playing games with you, but they also make it hard to remove Norton. There should be an uninstall, but often it's hard to remove because it's an antivirus and they don't want a bad guy to remove it. So here's the key. Go to Symantec Removal, or go to Google and search for Symantec Norton Removal Tool. It'll take you to Symantec's support site, and they have a tool to remove Norton. Now, they say this is to remove a failed installation or a damaged Norton product. So they encourage you to start by running the uninstaller. But if you can't find the uninstaller, I call that damaged. So I would say download this tool. It's free to use. And once you've got it, you run it, and it removes it's supposedly, and I think it does a pretty good job of removing all traces of Norton from your system. I'm going to show you real quickly, we're out of time, but I want to show you real quickly, excuse my language, the PC decrapifier. This is PCDecrapifier.com. This is it was originally designed for HP Compaq, but now it runs on a lot of different computers to remove all the stuff the computer comes with. Now, you should put more RAM in that computer, but you're right. You definitely want to, strip it down, and that's why I think PC Decrapifier is a great tool. It's free to use. They do have a professional version. I highly recommend it. Hey, thanks for the call, Neil. Next time I'll give you a little more time with Kate. But she's busy getting another caller on the line. She's very fickle, I have to say. More of your calls coming up in just a bit. Stay right here. Isn't that weird? I love that.
Absolutely fascinating.
By the way, that's your Christmas present. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much.
Kate Abraham, do you have a call for us?
I do indeed. We're going to Mississauga in Ontario, and I've got Tina.
Thanks, Kate. Hello, Tina.
Hi, Leo. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Now, we should explain to everybody who's watching this show at Valentine's Day that we're taping it just a few days before Christmas.
Well, happy Valentine's Day, too, then.
Thank you, Tina. What can I do for you today?
Well, Leo, you know, I wanted to start a blog, and so I did, and I've been watching your show for a while now, and I took your advice, and I started using WordPress, but...
Did you do it at WordPress.com, a hosted blog with them, or did you host it yourself on your own site?
No, I'm hosting it myself.
Okay. Which is fine. That's how I do it. I love WordPress. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, and for people who don't have a site already, WordPress.com does it for free, and it's very easy to set up.
Sure, but, you know, you and John Chow got me nuts.
Oh, you're going to try to make money on it?
Well, maybe someday. Certainly not anytime soon.
Good. No, I would, you know, and I tell everybody this who's getting into new media, whether it's blogging, podcasting, video blogging, do it because you love it. Do it because you have something to say and you're passionate about it, not to make money. Right. If you build an audience, the money will follow, but it isn't, you know, it takes a while to become profitable. And many people, the vast majority, never make a dime.
Well, sure, and you know, I don't want this to be a junk blog. I do have something to say. And
that's good.
I want it to look.
Well, let me see your blog. What is it?
Fatinthefire.com.
Okay, you started with a great name. That's, you know, I can't tell you how important a good URL is and a good name. That's great. And look, I'm on the front of it. You sneak.
That's my little present to you, Leo.
Fat on the Fire. Now, I'm thinking this looks pretty good. Did you use a canned template?
I used one of the themes, right, and I did switch it actually since I sent this question.
Yeah, because this looks really good. This is by Pragya. It's a beautiful. Did you pay for it or did it?
No, this was one of the free ones. I'm not in a, you know.
This is one of the reasons I recommend. Nice picture. This is one of the reasons I recommend WordPress is the vast array of free templates, and you've clearly figured out. You know, you've got the about page. You've got Fat and 50. I know the feeling. You've got the links. You've got a reading list. You've clearly, or you're going to have a reading list. It looks like you've clearly figured out how to use it. I think you've done a great job.
Well, thank you. The big problem this week, though, is that I was cleaning out some drafts in the manage the post area.
Yes. Yep.
And I accidentally deleted, like, the second blog post.
And is it one you really want to save?
Yeah, it's one I really want to save because I have links back to it in, like, 3 different places. Now, I have backup WordPress, but none of these come with any instructions for
restoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I restore, is it going to take it all the way back to the second blog post? Because I'd rather die.
Okay, yeah, it's a little tricky. Here's what it does. First of all, restoring it is a MySQL command, and it is a little tricky. Unless that plugin, I'm not sure if I use one. I'm not sure it's the same one. Mine gives me an SQL dump. It's a database dump. It's actually one line, and if you look in the documentation, it'll explain how to do that. Now, here's the trick, and it's like any other backup. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the most recent backup that has that number 2 post. But what you have to do is figure out what date that was. Before you restore, you're going to want to make a separate backup of all of the posts since then. And it could be as simple as opening up the manage dialog and cutting and pasting if you can't figure out how to do it in any other way, just to get all of those. Then restore to that backup. Now that's going to get you up to the date you made the backup, but nothing since then, right? So number 2 will come back, but everything else will be missing. And that's when you have to restore those individually. Does that make sense?
Oh, boy.
I know, oh boy.
It does. Would it just be easier to go in and redo that second post?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing you could do.
A copy of...
Another way to do this would be to make a backup now, then restore to a previous one, copy the number 2 posts, put it somewhere, restore your most recent backup. Now everything's back except number 2, and then recreate the number 2. If it's a long post, that'd probably be a lot easier than trying to rewrite it by memory.
I think I actually have it in Word.
then that's easy. Then I would just do that. Now, getting it to have the same URL is a little tricky. You'll have to go into the WordPress control panel and give it the same date. And it depends on what your permalink structure is. This gets a little complicated. But you know what? You've done a great, I have to say, you've done a great job figuring this out already. I think you're very close. Where's your blog here? Oh, I think I overwrote it. You're very close. There it is, fatinthefire.com. You're very close to being an expert, I would say. Well done, Tina. Well done. Look, isn't that great? I'm so thrilled you did a blog. Hey, coming up, my good buddy Alex Lindsay from Pixel Core is here. He's going to talk about something really important in digital photography, your aperture setting. What does that mean? Well, we'll find out when the lab continues. Right now, though, one more chance to take our quick quiz question of the day. A tough scientific question. This has to do with free electrons and quantum tunneling. Which metal has the highest electrical conductivity? Gold, silver, copper, or aluminium? I don't know. Think about it. We'll go to the web and find out when the lab continues. Welcome back to the lab. We asked you at the break which metal has the highest conductivity. You know, I had to look this up on Wikipedia, and I was wrong. It is not gold. It's silver. I was sure it was gold because, you know, gold-tipped, gold-plated cables and all that. Silver would be better. Silver! Alex Lindsay's here. He's from the Pixel Core at pixelcore.com. Does a whole bunch of podcasts, but he's also a photography expert and an expert on 2D and 3D video and photo editing. I mean, he knows everything there is. We're going to talk a little bit about aperture today.
Aperture.
What is aperture?
Aperture is how far the opening in your lens, how far open it is.
So more open means more light.
More light.
Just like the iris in your eye.
Exactly.
When it closes down, less light.
Right. In our eye, I was looking at it on the web before this, and it's about 2.0. When you look at your aperture on your camera, about 2.0 to about 8.0. That
that's
range,
your eye.
8.8. Yeah, that's what your eye can range back and forth to. A camera, you know, can go as low as...
I have an f1.2 lens.
A 1.2. And now that, and what that is that's a ratio. You know, so when you see 1.2, you think of, oh, that's smaller. But it's actually bigger. Because it's 1 over that.
Right.
You know, and so 16th is 1/16th.
Got it.
1.2 is 1 over 1.2.
Now, this is a point and shoot. Does this also have aperture?
All your cameras have aperture.
They all have an aperture.
Yeah, so what you see here is when you can either set it to manual or you can set this. You'll see this little thing here that says AV.
Yeah.
And in a variety of different cameras, that is what we would call aperture priority. Now, it's AV here, but it does aperture priority. Now, what this means is that you can say, you know, I'm going to set the aperture, and then I'm going to make sure that it just changes the shutter speed to whatever it needs to be to get a proper exposure.
They actually have shutter priority, which is TV.
Exactly.
And so you can say, the thing that's most important to me is, now why would you care what the aperture is?
Well, the big thing about aperture is
as long as it's exposed properly, what do I care?
Exactly. The issue is that almost every great portrait that you see has a really small depth of field.
Now you're gonna have to illustrate that, and I think you've got some.
I got a couple things. One is this is a series of photos I shot I have a Canon 20D.
So this is a wide open 1.8 aperture, and you can see this is where you see the depth of field.
And you see how you can only and you see how
one thing's in focus.
You see how your eye is focused right on that one thing, so you're paying attention to it.
That's why photographers use this narrow depth of field to focus you.
You're controlling the viewer's eye. Now, watch as this increases. You see how everything goes into, now at f/22.
Everything's in focus.
Everything's in focus. It's a whole different photo.
It's kind of an ugly photo.
Yes, right. This is a photo that you would never think of. It's just a snapshot. When I go to here, it has some kind of artistic quality to it.
You're saying something, and it may not be something great, but you are at least saying something.
So as you keep on turning that up, you get more and more depth of field, and controlling this depth of field is what pros do all the time.
Pocket cameras tend to have a very big aperture number. They have a narrow aperture.
A narrow aperture. Typically, a pretty typical cheaper lens or a pocket camera is going to go down to maybe 3.5.
Right.
2.8. This one goes about 2.8.
They have small pickups too, which also reduce the depth of field.
Exactly.
Increase the depth of field. Yeah.
And so and now here's when you're actually shooting photos.
Amateurs usually want that though, because they can't focus very well, so they
think they do.
Oh, is this your baby?
This is Malachi.
Oh.
And what you can see here is when you look at this, for instance, his face is just in focus. And everything else is out of focus.
Right.
You know, as you look at it, and it focuses you on him. When you look at it here, you can see this.
Curly to your wife.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But you can see how these photos look artistic. You know, they have kind of a bit of an artsy feel.
They look so much better. Yeah.
And the thing is that both. We were talking about this.
Merlin Mann has a new baby.
We both have almost the same camera setup. We have a fast, what we call a fast 50, a 50 lens that opens, a 50 millimeter lens.
I also have
fixed.
a fast 50. Yeah.
And
I love it.
And my brother and I have, that's what we leave on our camera, and we leave it wide open, as 1.4, 1.2, 1.8.
You get to 1.2, not much is in focus.
Exactly.
Just this much.
We were talking about whether we really need it. Like, it's almost too fast. Like, for me, the 1.8, this is 1.8, and you're looking at something that, I don't know if I need it to be any shorter focus than what I see here. Right. But you can see
the background is out of focus. Oh, look at that. So what you're doing is you're telling the viewer what to look at.
Exactly. And so you're saying, I want you to focus right now just his face, just literally his face, not his whole head, but just his face is in focus, because that's what I want you to look at. And by blurring everything else out, I just immediately, it focuses the viewer's eye on it, and it makes it, these are the kind of photos you see in ads. These are the kind of photos you see on magazines. And if you want to create that, what you do is you open your camera up, you set it to a fast app. Set it to a
lower number. Means a bigger opening.
Yeah, and you're going to create much more of these kind of artistic kind of photos.
I've been really enjoying playing with that. It's really interesting.
It's so great.
And so you could do it on this. You just go to AV on a compact camera and then set it for the lowest number of aperture. What'll happen is it compensates with the shutter speed. So as the amount of light goes down, it decreases the shutter speed. You don't want to get too low. 1/60th of a second might. After that, it's hard to handhold.
Typically, the rule of thumb, and it depends on how shaky or steady you are, is that your 1/60th of a second or whatever is if you're set to 60 millimeters. So if you're zoomed at 60, that's about the right. So now I can usually hold on a little longer than that. I go 130, even 115 if I'm leaning against something. But that's the thing to
it's hard to hold it steady, and then of course if people move, you're dead.
Exactly.
They may not be steady. Really good stuff to play with, though, and it's a great thing to experiment with. Alex Lindsay is the head man at pixelcore.com. Look for his podcast on pixelcore.tv, and he comes up to join us and talk about photography and 3D and 2D modeling, and you'll learn all that stuff at pixelcore.com. That's what's so great about it. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. And congratulations on Malachi.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful baby boy. All right, we'll take a break, come back with final words right after this. Stay right here. Sean has a shiny for us. This is an interesting gadget because there's a lot of talk these days about fuel cells. What is a fuel cell?
Well, fuel cell is something that delivers power from hydrogen.
Okay.
So the problem so far has been that hydrogen has taken more power to be made than it would if you just put it in the car.
So this little H-Racer is hydrogen powered?
This is hydrogen powered. So what you need to do is you need to drain the bladder out of all the other gases, create power using this little...
so you either use a battery or you could use solar to create the hydrogen. It does it from water?
Right, it does this from water.
It's going to fill it up.
It's going to fill it up, and we'll get this running at the
Pros
end
and cons as we're filling it up here. There's some, this is very cool. It's a good project. I like the fact that it uses solar power, but... not easy to assemble, and it's a little fragile, and it's not oobleck.
It's not oobleck.
$99 though. This would be great for a school science project, just to show how it works. Can you make it work? Do we have enough hydrogen?
Let's find out.
Fill the bladder.
But yeah, it takes about.
So does it burn the hydrogen?
No.
Hey, it works. Look at that, a hydrogen car. Hey, we thank you so much for being here. That's very cool. $99.
$99 or less.
Or less if you shop around.
Exactly.
Oobleck is free.
Indeed.
Kate, you're the greatest.
Thank you very much.
If you want to talk to her, there's one way to do it. Go to the website, labwithleo.com, and ask a tech question. We'll see you next time on The Lab. Go ahead, punch the Oobleck. Punch the Oobleck.